Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a mail haul? I was telling a friend of mine the other day how much I'm enjoying finding spots in the Arboretum, the Arnold Arboretum where I've been filming lately and talking to you all outside. Uh, I told him that I've been liking it more and more, especially as summer's dying. So, in a relatively small amount of time, it's going to be uncomfortable to do that. And my friend said, well, there's one kind of video you can't do outside, and that's a mail haul. And, the more I think about that, the more I wonder if that's true. If I got a big mail haul first thing in the morning and I put it all in a duffel bag, why couldn't I walk it out there? The whole point is to get some exercise. Why couldn't I walk it out to some utterly secluded dell in the middle of nowhere and open it there? The only thing I would need to do would be to find a rock outcrop or a tree or something where I could put the camera. I don't think that would be hard. Look for it in your feed. I view it as a challenge. But in the meantime, here I am, just on the couch, and we have some packages to go through. So let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. And as usual, only it's not as usual because I don't ever remember to do it. But I want to stress two things. One, especially for those of you who might be new to the channel, the subscriber count keeps going up. I don't quite understand that. That's a video for another day. If you see a book in this mail haul or in any mail haul that you really want, and this also applies to used books, to book mail hauls that I do of stuff that I get out and about. But if you see a book that you really want, something where I don't know. I don't know. Where you have all your life been a diehard find everything fan of medieval Iranian tile arrangements, and I get the latest Princeton guide to medieval Iranian tile arrangements, and your whole face goes blah when you see it. Let me know, because even I'm getting these books in order to work with them, in order to read them and then review them. But even when I'm done with that, usually I don't keep the book. And also, even if I want to keep the book, as you've all seen on this channel, a lot of times I'll get more than one copy. So it doesn't compromise the professional side of things for me to for you to let me know that one of these things really appeals to you. And thing number two. Is that if any of you out there would like to try your hand at serious book reviewing for an audience of thousands, then let me know. As I am the managing editor of a literary journal named Open Letters Monthly, and we're perfectly open to new writers. And if you'd like to try that, I myself will help you, and so will a lot of my fellow editors. So if that's a world you want to break into, there's an avenue for it. So anyway, that out of the way. Yeah. First thing I see is a packing list. Implying, I guess, that I'm supposed to pay? Ooh. All right, so let's see. Oh, we're past that. Wow, okay. Okay, this is the University of Washington Press. And it comes out no idea. It's probably out already. It's a $30 paperback, and it's not something that I requested. It's by David Leonard, and it's called Playing While White. And the subtitle is Privilege and Power on and Off the Field. Playing While White argues that whiteness matters in sports culture, both on and off the field. Does that need arguing? I guess it depends on the writer. Critically analyzing athletic stars such as Tom Brady, Johnny Manziel, Marshall Henderson, Hope Solo, Lance Armstrong, and Danica Patrick, as well as the predominantly white cultures of NASCAR and extreme sports, David Leonard identifies whiteness as central to the commodification of athletes and the sports they play. What? What? That whiteness is central to the commodification of athletes? Who's the first golfer that comes to your mind? Who's the first basketball star who comes to your mind? Who's the greatest boxer in the history of the sport? Okay. I might also add to that who's one of the top 5 players in baseball history. Uh, maybe this. The author demonstrates that sports culture is a key site in the trafficking of racial ideas, narratives, and ideologies. He identifies how white athletes are frequently characterized as intelligent leaders and presumed innocent of various transgressions, while black athletes are often pathologized for the same actions. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to want to read this. Sports books usually aren't up my alley, but I'm definitely going to want to read this. I'm dreading now that second part, often pathologized for the same actions. I'm dreading now that I'm going to look in the index just to see. I'm dreading that O.J. Simpson is going to come up in this book. Oh no, okay, good. No, he doesn't. He appears on one page. Good. I got tired of hearing that back when the juice was loose. I got tired of hearing that. It doesn't really matter what color your skin is if you flee. Flight betokens guilt. I know that the American legal system very wisely says otherwise, but the legal system hardwired into all of our brains, and that is often right, is that flight betokens guilt. If you run, you're guilty, and you can be acquitted, as O.J. Simpson was, but there isn't anyone. Like Lizzie Borden. There isn't anyone in the world who doesn't believe with complete certainty that he's guilty, that he killed his wife. So, anyway, this sounds fascinating. I don't usually go in for sports books, so it's an odd start though, and I don't know why. I mean, the University of Washington. I'm not sure why they would send it to me unsolicited. If I asked for the weirdest thing in the world, that's one thing, but I don't think if their publishers sort of glance at my review history, I don't think there's anything in there that would lead them to think, oh, this is a Steve book. And I'd be willing to bet that if I looked on their website for forthcoming books, I would find a lot of things that are. So it might just have to do. It might not have to do with specific reviews. Just you're a prolific reviewer, so we'll throw this into the file. We'll throw this onto the pile and see if it works. And that's perfectly okay. I found a lot of great books that way. This next one is by Tayari Jones, and it is An American Marriage. And this comes out next year. This comes out in February. She is the author of 3 previous novels and a winner of numerous literary awards. And what is this thing? Newlyweds Celestial and Roy are the embodiment of both the American dream and the New South. He is a young executive and she is an artist on the brink of an exciting career. But as they settle into the routine of their life together, they are ripped apart by circumstances neither could have imagined. Roy is arrested and sentenced to 12 years for a crime Celestial knows he didn't commit. Though fiercely independent, Celestial finds herself bereft and unmoored, taking comfort in Andre, her childhood friend and best man at their wedding. As Roy's time in prison passes, she is unable to hold on to the love that has been her center. After 5 years, Roy's conviction is suddenly overturned and returns to Atlanta to resume their life together. Huh. Okay, so as Roy's time in prison passes, she is unable to hold on to the love that has been her center. Okay, so it sounds like she falls out of love with her husband while he's in jail, while falling in love with another man. That's pretty good. It's not an original plot, but it's a mighty good one. And I, of course, don't require originality in the plots of the fiction that I read. And this has blurbs by Tom Perrotta, Amy Bloom, and Michael Chabon. Very nice. Okay, so but that's next year. I'm very intentionally not worrying about next year's books, because before I get to next year, I have to get through the mother of all amounts of work for this year, and also I have to end the year with that intergalactically famous Goddardammerung of literature, the Steve Reads Year's Best and Worst Books of the Year, without which you are intellectually undressed. And you have plenty of time. It's only mid-August. You have plenty of time to bone up on all the previous lists before 2017's comes out and sorts the hash of all of the books published in English in America in 2017. One person, one list. Oh, great. Okay, this is the finished copy of The Taking of K129. We read this is by Josh Dean, and we read the copy of this when I got the advanced copy. This is a Russian submarine that sank, and the U.S. government's desperate attempts to find it and salvage it for the technology involved. Hmm. And let's see, Josh Dean is okay. He's a correspondent for Outside Magazine, which is great. I've been living with Outside Magazine since it started. A regular contributor to many national magazines, including GQ, Business Week, Fast Company, and Popular Science, and the author of Show Dog and the Life and Times of the Stopwatch Gang. Popular Science? I wonder what he writes about for Popular Science. Of course, that's the first thing I'm going to do when I end the video now is I'm going to find this guy, see what he's done. Great. Okay, so 1968 Soviet history. I'm on board. I haven't read the advanced copy yet. That's a nice kick in the behind for me. And what have we got next here? This thing. Oh goodness! One of these things. These adhesive things. I mean, I understand that they're what you want if you're sending a book, but oh, very nice. Oh my. Okay. All right. This is Con Iggulden. War of the Roses. Ravenspur is the subtitle, and the subtitle of the subtitle is The Rise of the Tudors. This comes out at the beginning of December. This is the final volume in his powerful retelling of the Wars of the Roses. England, 1470. A divided kingdom cannot stand. King Edward of York has been driven out of England. Queen Elizabeth and her children tremble in sanctuary in Westminster Abbey. The House of Lancaster has won the crown, but York will not go quietly. Desperate to reclaim his throne, Edward lands at Ravenspur with a half-drowned army and his brother Richard at his side. Every hand is against them, every city gate is shut, yet the brothers York go on the attack. But neither sees that their true enemy is Henry Tudor, now grown into a man. As the Red Dragon, the man of destiny, his claims to the throne lead to Bosworth Field and a battle that will bring an end to the Wars of the Roses. Boy, that's a lot of ground for this book to cover. From Ravensford to Bosworth Field, good Lord, that's a lot of ground. Okay, fantastic. This historical dramatization of the Wars of the Roses I have liked quite a bit. So for the final volume to be Tudor-centric is just icing on the cake. Let's move on to this next one here. Wow, okay. Another one I did not request. This is from Harvard University Press, and it is due in early September, and it is called Pious Fashion, How Muslim Women Dress, by Elizabeth Bukhar, who's an associate professor of religion and philosophy at Northeastern University. For many Westerners, the Islamic veil is the ultimate sign of women's oppression. But Elizabeth Bukhar's take on clothing worn by Muslim women is a far cry from this older feminist attitude towards veiling. She argues that modest clothing represents much more than social control or religious orthodoxy. Today, headscarves are styled to frame the head and face in interesting ways, while colors and textures express individual tastes and challenge aesthetic preconceptions. Brand-name clothing and accessories serve as conveyances for social distinction and are part of a multi-million-dollar ready-to-wear industry. Even mainstream international chains are offering lines, especially of hijabis. More than just a veil, this is a pious fashion from head to toe, which engages with a range of aesthetic values related to moral authority, consumption, and selfhood. Okay. All right, well, I will give it a try. I didn't get an advanced copy of this. I haven't seen it before today. I didn't know about it before today. Almost everything in that paragraph that I read is a lie, because these are not questions of aesthetic values related to moral authority, consumption, and selfhood. Their aesthetic values related to male moral authority, consumption, and selfhood. And the reason I know that is because in a lot of places where women wear these things, they can't not wear them. You can soften the slave's chain all you want, and you can call it a fashion statement. You can put curlicues and colors on it. But if you're not allowed not to wear it, if you're not allowed to take it off and walk around without it, then it's still a slave chain. And it doesn't matter how you dress it up. If the men around you, including young boys who are your 35-year-old woman and 14 or 15-year-old boys in the mall, can push you around, punch you, yell things at you, drive you out of the mall, and meet with a receptive crowd outside of also composed of men, all of whom are saying, "What the hell are you doing not wearing this thing?" Then it's not a fashion statement. But maybe this author will. Maybe she'll work around it. I don't know. I know. I've visited a lot of Muslim countries, and this is Western wish fulfillment. If that's all the author has to offer, then it's Western wish fulfillment. What this woman is wearing on this cover, would not be acceptable in a lot of places where I had visited. This would be considered immodest. And even in the countries that are fairly liberal, this is not optional. So, okay, let's move on. Let's move on to something else here. We've got a couple more to go. Boy, I did not see that coming. I will probably not write about it. It just doesn't seem worth the... Okay. Much better. Much better. This is called The Paragon Returns. And the subtitle is The Art and Architecture of Urban Raptor Recovery. And it's written by Mary Hennon, and it's illustrated by Peggy McNamara, who's fantastic. She's fantastic. I don't know how much you can see. It's wrapped in plastic, but she is incredibly good. Oh, my. Oh, boy. All right, so this comes out at the end of August. I'm going to tear into it right away. Anyway, it is now by far the front runner for this whole mail haul. Turn your eyes... Okay. I'm just going to read it out. Turn your eyes, city skies, across the world, and you might just catch a glimpse of something astonishing. I think that means to city skies, or toward city skies. A V-shaped blur of wings, talon, and yellow-rimmed eyes diving among the streetlights and skyscrapers with a speed and precision that almost defies comprehension. You've just seen a peregrine. Urban raptors now as at home, nesting on rooftops and window ledges as on rocky cliffs. That's a roughly written pub sheet here. That's okay, though. So this is about it's in connection with an exhibit called The Paragon Returns at the Field Museum in Chicago, and it is from the sound of it, it's about the architecture. Is it's true that peregrines are adaptable and that they have made their home in cities, especially in tall buildings near or adjacent to parks. And why wouldn't they? Since they're a ruthlessly efficient predator. They have no natural prey or no natural enemies in an urban environment. And down in the park, there's about 300,000 fat pigeons who've grown up 10 generations of them never knowing what a peregrine was. Why wouldn't you do that? But cities haven't been ready for them. Cities weren't built with them in mind. And the current mind frame in the 21st century, in America anyway, is one of interest and fascination and preservation rather than just mindless destruction. So if you have an inset ledge in the 20th floor of a bank building, you're no longer going to put barbed wire out there or rat poison. Instead, you're going to hope that the peregrine is nesting outside your cubicle. And the key is that you're going to want to make it more attractive. And the ways to do that, a fascinating subject. Oh, can't wait. Some of you, I'm sure, have read the great book Red Tails in Love which is along the same lines, about a pair of red-tailed hawks in Central Park. If you haven't, you should. But anyway, we're down to the last book here. What have we... Oh, oh my. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, we saw this before, I think. This is the finished copy of a book that comes out in mid-September called Prague, Its Gardens and Parks. I know exactly where that is. I think I've mentioned on this channel before that Prague came an inch away from being one of the places on earth where I have not only visited but stayed. Made a home, found a landlady, and you know, paid for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months or more. I got the distinct impression. Oh, look at the color photography! Oh my! I got the distinct impression while I was there that I would have fallen in love with it had I done that. I stayed for a long time, but it wasn't the same thing. When I found a place where I wanted to stay, I would put down roots. I would get to know the local shopkeepers. I would get to know the local food vendors. I would learn the language and get rid of any kind of accent. So that in a couple of places in the world, I've had housemates or blockmates or drinking partners say that I spoke the language like a native, and I've actually had a couple of people be surprised in some places that I wasn't a native. And I would learn the rhythms of the place, and I would learn the seasons and everything like that. I would just soak it in and take it very slow. And I almost did that with Prague. I've done that with a little bit over a dozen places in the world, and I almost did it with Prague, but at the last minute, I didn't. Something came up. So I have a fascination with the place. Fantastic. Oh my. Great. All right. So what have we got here? We have a lot of stuff. I made a bit of a mess. So Prague, its gardens and parks. Then we have the Paragon Returns, which is a very nice looking companion to an exhibit at the Field Museum about urban architecture and wild birds. Pious Fashion. And then Ravenspur, the final volume in Con Ingledon's dramatization of the Wars of the Roses and the rise of Henry Tudor. Then K129, the hunt for a downed Soviet submarine. Then An American Marriage, which has killer blurbs, so it might be really good. And then the first book, Playing While White, a book about white privilege in professional sports. So no matter what else you say about this, it's a typically varied mail haul. I love it. I absolutely love it. But the Prague book and the Paragon book go first. So I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.